Hello, parents of Twinfo. I hope you are very good on this Monday. And my name is Liliana Amaro. I'm international child sleep consultant. And today I got a very good and interesting conversation to have with you, because this is something we commonly see in the groups, in the parents of groups. In the groups of parents. Commonly they're posting about these questions. Oh, should I use a dummy? Yes or no? When to use it? And it's very, very hard to decide for by ourselves. It's very hard to know what is the right answer. So I guess in parenthood there is never a right answer. It's always you need to follow your heart. You need to follow what you think about it. You need to follow your beliefs, and also you need to be sure that you're taking the right decision, whether you go for a yes or for no. It's very good to consult with your partner, or if you are doing parenting with someone else. It's always good to agree in what your decision is, because it's very hard to have a decision that you're not so sure about it, and also have someone else to tell you that it's not the right thing. In parenthood, we always going to find that people criticize, people say yes, and they give their strong opinion in one belief, and then also give their opinion that is not correct. So it's always many opinions, but as I said, in regards of using a dummy or a pacifier, it's always something that you can decide by yourself. And also I want to tell you that if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. If you have questions later, also feel free to email me, to put them here, and contact me at any time. I've been doing these talks for a long time. Now I have done this talk before in my native language, which is Spanish, and it was a very successful and very good talk for the mothers. So in saying that you have two babies or more, 3, 4, 5 maybe, you're so lucky. In saying that, you maybe always wonder what will be the best tools for you to help you to overcome this parenthood with a few babies at the same time, especially when they're crying, when they need to feed. What will be the best way you can approach it? And one of these questions perhaps is to use or not to use the dummy or the pacifier. The definition we have for pacifier is a plastic nipple that will produce the action of sucking, okay, in a baby. And because we know that sucking is something that is natural for a baby, it will help to maybe settle and do a few things. Okay, I'm going to start with my talk for four pros and four cons, and then we will go from there. Okay, the first point that I want to give you is a pro. The use of pacifier of a dummy, it will help you to avoid the seeds, the infant death by no symptom in the cot, the seeds. This is something that people and pediatricians always will recommend. If you use a pacifier, you will keep the respiratory system and the baby active, so there is a reduction on the seeds, and this will help your baby to stay alive. Obviously, with seeds, a lot of other issues comes, but we see that babies that use dummy, they are in less risk of have seeds. No, the infant, the seeds, the sudden infant death syndrome. Okay, so we are going to recommend this, obviously, because the baby keeps moving and inactive. You have two babies, so depending what is your style, if having in separate cots or in the same cot, this will be a good point to have it. If you are so scared about seeds and a little bit anxious about it, and having a dummy could help you to reduce that risk. However, we never know. Okay, we never know. It's not something that is going to avoid it 100%, but it reduces the seeds, okay? And this is and has been nominated in Australia. One of the cons, the negative points of having a dummy is that the use of a dummy or pacifier stops a baby for going to a very deep state of sleep. So what happened here? I'm going to explain a little bit. When a baby is using a dummy and is sucking, I'm going to pretend to be sucking, is sucking the dummy and is falling asleep. Sometimes if the baby is a little bit sensitive, the dummy will fall or will stop, and then it suddenly will wake up your baby. Why? Because the movement or maybe the action of dropping on the body or somewhere else, it will wake up your baby. This means usually when the baby is getting into a very deep state of sleep, the dummy is stopping and then the baby wakes up. That is why it's avoiding your baby to go into a very sleep. Okay, we have one good point, one bad point. Let's go for the second one. The second one is a dummy will avoid and will help you to keep a baby quiet. And in saying this, if you have 2 babies, or 3 or 4, it will help you to reduce that stress of hearing the cry, the sudden cry, the synchronized cry, because the babies will be entertained by sucking the dummy. That's a very good point, a very good tool for the parents. I have to accept that I used the dummy with one of my children. I was going to do a trip to Europe by myself with a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old, and I was a little bit scared, know what I'm going to do in the airplane or what I'm going to do when I need to care for my 3-year-old and look after my 4-month, what I'm going to do. And I thought, well, maybe a dummy will help me because my partner is not coming, so it will help me to keep my baby entertained for a little bit when I'm sorting out my stuff. So a dummy can help you for this. It's a very good tool. And also keeps the baby entertained for hours. There is a few other things that come with it because baby can get very used to it. Anyway, but this is a good point for using a dummy. No, it's a very, very good point. I'm going now with the second point, negative point about it. If the dummy becomes a prop of your baby, you will need, depending on the age, you probably will need to go and put it in the mouth every time the dummy stops. And when it's a daytime, this fact doesn't really annoy us or bother us, because we can go, if we are awake and we have them in our eyesight, we can go put the dummy and return and do our activity or keep doing whatever we're doing. This is easy at daytime. But when it comes to the nighttime, what happens? The baby is used to the dummy drops and starts crying. It wakes them up because it's not going to a very deep sleep. Then you go and put the dummy back again. And then what happened? The baby perhaps unluckily falls asleep this time, and then has one of the sudden awakes that you cannot avoid through the night, and you feel that the baby doesn't feel the dummy, start crying. You go, oh, it's because it doesn't have a dummy, and put the dummy back again. And then this happens again and again. And I tell you what, depending on the age, the older, the more sensitive the babies and the more reliant they come on having the dummy in their mouth and sucking all the time. Because sometimes at the same time that can avoid that the babies go into a very deep sleep, it can make them fall asleep very easy. So we have here a contradiction. Well, it helps or doesn't help. Well, for some help, for some is not helpful. So this is why I decided to give you 4 good points, 4 bad points, so you make the right decision. Okay. And also you need to know your child, your children. Because as much as the mothers try, the babies spit the dummy and they don't take it. Some of us are very keen. I tried with my first one, and I tried to put her a dummy, and she couldn't. Like, she just didn't want it. So maybe if you have twins, a set of twins, and you try with one likes it, the other one doesn't like it. Well, This is you just need to discover by trying. Okay. Um, and the third very good point about having a dummy or a pacifier is that it helps that the baby falls asleep. So this is our great tool when our baby likes the dummy, or our babies like the dummy, and we enjoys it, sucking on it. You give it to them, and they just suddenly fall asleep, and it's so nice when you just put the dummy, falls asleep, and you don't hear anything else. That's a very good thing about the dummy. It's very good when this happens. Sometimes babies just use it to fall asleep, drops the dummy, and that's it. You don't need to go back and put it back. But you need to test this point. No? If your baby grabs the dummy and it falls asleep very, very easy, that's good. Okay. Some babies have no problems, so this is, you can test it as well. Another con, the third con of this talk, is the dentist or odontologist assure that having a dummy or using a dummy as a baby is a very bad recommendation, is a very bad advice that you can give. Is annoying. They get annoyed when they hear this. I tell you that I have done these talks for Mexico, and I had some mothers that are dentists, and they straight away they pop out and say you should not advise to use a dummy. And I have to say, well, I'm not advising. I'm just giving 4 good points, 4 bad points, and I would like to know your point of view. Well, there is these people or the dentists that I have had it a few times. They say that it produces problems with the speech, and also produces deformation with the teeth. It pushes the teeth out, or in the palate. Also, it can make a deformation. And I just have something to say in this regard. I say, okay. I have asked directly with the people that start telling me comments now when I'm having the talk. Okay, I was a baby and a child that I used dummy until around 7 years of age. Tell me why I have no problems. I have perfect teeth, or not perfect, but no straight teeth, and I have no speech problems. Why? How can you tell me that if someone uses dummy is going to have a problem when I don't have it? And then there is when a lot of moms start commenting and saying, well, we don't have that problem either. Yeah, how? I said, can you explain me this? Why some people have it and when some people don't have it when they have used a dummy or sucking finger, no? And then I remember asking, my father is a doctor, and I remember asking my father, I said, can you explain me this? Why they say it's good or it's bad? Because obviously there are mothers that use dummy for their children, and there are mothers that don't use it. I said, can you explain me this? And then he said, well, the problems with the speech and with within the mouth, the deformation, the teeth, also comes with genetics. So we always need to take into account both. You know, if you are already in the path by genetic deformation, the genetic problems, that you can suffer some speech problems, and then you adding something else that is triggering that problem, well, it's more likely that you have a problem. When you have no genetics that leading you to that issue, you are not going to have a problem. So it's always. And I said to the lady that was talking to me, and I said, this is not very good, so you shouldn't talk about the dummy. I said, well, can you explain me? And she said, no, just like you said, people are different. So some people will have problems, some people have no problems. So there you go. There is a myth. If you ask a dentist or a mouth professional, they will say, don't use a dummy, but there is no proof that or a guarantee that your teeth or your mouth is going to become perfect. So don't worry about it. Just have it as a point, okay? And then the last pro that I'm going to talk about is about the cuteness of a baby with a dummy. Okay, so many mothers and so many babies look absolutely cute with a dummy. And the fact of this is that mothers love, well, some of us love collecting the dummies. So many comments. If you are quite active in the group, you can see that moms sometimes complain that the baby has dropped using the dummy, and they are so devastated because they already have a drawer full of dummies with different patterns, with different materials. So this is something that it is a good fact. You know, babies look really cute. They're babies, and sometimes it's a fashion, you know, to have a baby with a dummy. So it's a good point, because a baby looks cute, but necessary, I don't know. Okay, and the last but not least, I will say, con about using a pacifier or dummy is if your baby uses or your babies use the dummy, you always are going to wonder when to stop, how to stop, and why to stop. This is one of the consequences of using a dummy that you have to deal with in the future. You will start thinking, how do I do it? When do I do it? It's very hard. My baby is going to suffer. I don't know what to do. I need help. Well, if this is your case, that you are in that stage in where you want to stop it, you can contact me. I can give you help, and we can work it out. It's not that hard. It's like everything, you know, you need to make the decision on when you want to stop and why you want to do it, and do it. But there is a process with it, and let me tell you how to make this decision. If your children are already waking up and you think the dummy is a problem, if you are thinking about teaching your baby to sleep better, or giving them some help in improving the sleep habits, and you have a dummy as a factor, and you're thinking, oh, should I remove it or should I leave it? Maybe it helps me, maybe not. What can I do? Well, the first thing is, if you have those issues and you're thinking to fix them, the first thing you need to do, or my advice, is remove it completely, so you start those habits clean, and by removing the dummy, because otherwise you will fix maybe those issues, and then you have to remove the dummy, which is another point, no? Another thing to fix. So go for everything in one go. That will help. Another thing that I can tell you is, if you are about to make the decision, I'm going back a little bit, if you are about to have your twins, or you have your twins and they're very little, very young, and you are considering having a dummy or not. Okay, if they are more than 3 months and you're still hesitant about using the dummy like with them, I will say you already passed the hardest 3 months. Don't do it. You have survived without it, so keep going. You will do it right. If they are a few weeks and you are not too sure, but you really want to because it can help and they will sleep maybe, and you can try. But I will tell you something: if your baby is not taking it, or your babies are not taking it, or one of them is not taking it, do not force it, because it's nothing worse than force a baby to do something they don't want. No, it's just like, you know, sometimes you will like lollies, and imagine that someone comes and have a lolly every hour or it's a plastic, okay? Remember, it's a plastic. It's not flavor in it, and also the pros and cons that can come with it. You know, if your baby doesn't want it, why to force it? Just try to look for other things. If your issue is sleep, contact me. I'm happy to help anytime. If you have any other issues during the day, you don't have time, well, no mothers have time, I tell you this. No matter how many children you have, it's always no time for things, but we will get used, so we will get by. So the dummy is not something, it will help you, okay? Well, I hope you enjoy this, and you can get some good and bad points, so your decision is purely yours and your partner's. You decide very well and the best for your children, okay? I'm Liliana Amaro, Child Sleep Consultant. I will leave you my details down here, and thank you so much for watching and listening to my live talk. Thank you. Bye.